I was destined for this God's plan. No, God doesn't plan for you to take steroids. We say it's God's plan. You have free will. God didn't make you need to do anything. You chose it. This does not sound like the guy who I met in person. Coach Greg, today's video, we got another 20-year-old on a speed run to death. This time he goes by the name of Adam Yu. You can see here he's got the Chinese flag, although he's currently living in the United States. Are any of you shocked, surprised that he's sponsored by none other than Young LA? And so rather than it being called Young LA, they should be calling it Young ER, as in they're going to the emergency room. We've got younger and younger athletes abusing steroids. And so does anyone think that this guy is actually natural? Adam seems to be blowing up in more ways than one. One being his muscles, the next being his followers. And so he's done the typical speed run, collabing with other famous social media influencers. For example, Togi takes my natty card, Young LA block party. I don't even think he's trying to pretend that he might in fact be natural. In fact, I most certainly think that he's admitting to being on performance-enhancing drugs. We have formally an Adam Yu natural transformation from 13 to 19. And I did believe at the time, at least back then, that he was 100% natural, but all good things, they come to an end. As soon as I touched a weight, I became addicted to the tangible progression lifting allowed me to obtain. Remember, all good things to come to an end. You cannot make gains forever. And so from 13 to 19, the newbie gains, going through puberty, he's going to be able to put on a tremendous amount of muscle, especially while dedicating himself to the gym. But eventually, those gains, they slow down and eventually they actually stop. And so what oftentimes people do, they get tempted to use performance-enhancing drugs. The vision, the growth, the internal victories, the chase of becoming a better version of myself became my only will to live. It's crazy how since the time of me meeting him in person, he now wants to essentially take over from John Skywalker and be the GOAT. Of all people, you choose John Skywalker, a man famous for abusing performance-enhancing drugs, partying harder than last time, and now losing all of his muscle and most assuredly taking decades away from his life. I totally believe this was natural. Remember, he's going through puberty. That happens to almost anybody. Think of it, puberty. Your testosterone surges, you're growing taller, you're getting bigger, stronger, your voice is changing. At 15 years old, I knew I was going to become a fitness influencer. And so essentially, that almost means he knew he was going to take steroids, because almost everyone who's a fitness influencer is not natty. Almost every thought pattern in my existence became about pushing to be the better version of myself every single day. I was destined for this God's plan. No, God doesn't plan for you to take steroids. We say it's God's plan. You have free will. And so, no, I don't believe in any of this shit. God didn't make you need to do anything. You chose it. See, we see the Ziz pose. It's not looking good. I mean, frankly, it's amazing that he's into bodybuilding, that he's strong, he's powerlifting, he's doing all of the things. But oftentimes, when you're a social media fitness influencer, the pressure becomes too strong. You go to Young LA fitness events, and eventually you hop on. Frankly, this reminds me a little bit of David Lade, not quite to the extent of the fame of David Lade, but a similar transformation. He was small, natural, was putting on size, but eventually he succumbed to the temptation. Already at 16, it's highly sus. Now, when I met her in person and he asked me, do I look natty? I'm thinking, no, you don't. But it's possible that he was. It's the first time I'm seeing this guy and he's telling me his age. I'm thinking, well, this doesn't look natural. Imagine, yeah, oh yeah, it looks natural. I don't know if he was on steroids or not, if he was on SARMs or not, but he doesn't have the typical warning signs. For example, the gynecomastia, the absolutely monstrosity looking faces from abusing performance enhancing drugs. But just because you don't notice clear-cut signs, the horrendous acne, the gyno, losing your hair, just because you don't see these things doesn't mean you're not on lower doses, doesn't mean you're not on peptides, that you're not on SARMs. And frankly, in today's day and age, is using a GLP natural? Is it not? Personally, I think that if you're using it, it doesn't take away your natty status. For other people, they say that it is. For example, Greg O'Gallagher. And so is he using a GLP to get shredded? I certainly would absolutely believe so. If I had to bet on it, I would bet he's taking either Ozempic, tirzepatide, or Retta. Remember, if you are interested in getting your blood work done, getting peptides that are, doctor prescribed, not research chemical bullshit, not those not made for human consumption, you can go to Algorex and you can trust that you are going to get what you're supposed to. And so use my code Greg for 10% off. After 4 years of training, I got to 200 pounds and began my first cycle. Actually says cut. Are we going to believe he's natural to this point? Is it possible that he's natural? Yes. Do we know if he's natural? No. He hasn't posted any blood work. And if you're a betting man and you had to wager, if you see this physique, please always bet that they're not natural. I don't want you to lose all your money. And so essentially, when you have a physique like this, it's like having ace. You're going all in. It doesn't mean you're every time going to win, but most likely he's probably not natural. This was the first time in my life where I started consistently eating enough protein every day. This is bullshit. This is lies. This is like saying a bunch of shit. Watch the change. Diet is incredible. So you're going to tell me that he got to 200 pounds while doing everything wrong, not eating enough protein. How would he have built all this muscle if he wasn't eating enough protein? Or is this foreshadowing? I'm going to start locking in and eating enough protein because these changes were frankly mid. Now I'm going to eat protein. And so when you see my physique suddenly explode, it's not from steroids. I'm 100% natural. It's from eating more chicken, broccoli, and rice. Have we ever heard this before? I mean, if he had said, I'm about to start taking Turk Builder Max, GO2 Max, my physique is about to explode, at least I would somehow start to believe it. I think, okay, that's going to make a significant difference. But to add a little bit more of this, yeah, I sell it, but I'm not going to pretend that this is going to suddenly double the amount of muscle that you're going to put on, that it's going to make noticeable changes. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and you don't need to count those grams. You don't need to weigh your chicken. You don't need to measure how many scoops of protein that you have. And even if you only get half of that protein, if you're eating in a calorie surplus, that is enough. The fitness industry doesn't want you to know this. They want you to think that you need more protein than ever before. The more, the better. And it's not just the fitness industry. It's food aisles everywhere. Have you been to a grocery store lately? Oh, you want oatmeal? Hey, it's high protein oatmeal. You want pasta? It's high protein pasta. Cream of wheat? High protein cream of wheat. Popcorn? Protein popcorn. Protein candy. Protein chocolate bars. Protein everything. But the truth is, almost all of you are already eating enough protein, and I don't believe that this kid got to 200 pounds of muscle at 17 years of age from not eating enough protein. Oh, and not to mention, all of this muscle is put on while being lean. And so no big deal, approaching single-digit body fat, putting on more muscle than ever before, while being a teenager. After 4.5 years of lifting, something flipped in my brain where I realized the caliber of my physique was on par with the physiques I saw online. And so by the time I was 17, I essentially had reached my dream physique. I reached the physique of my favorite social media influencers. Perhaps it was Alex Eubank, who knows? When that switch flipped, I decided I should hop on and go for my IFBB Pro Card. That's what I'm expecting to hear. Because let's say he did this natural, that he improved this much while being natty. Imagine what he could do with steroids. And so guys like Sam Sulik or Chris Bumstead, the list goes on and on. When you have the best genetics in the world, oftentimes they decide, I'm going to use steroids because they see so much potential in them, instead of the exact opposite, which is, I have so much potential, I don't need steroids. Look at this physique. I've already reached my dream physique. I look like all my favorite social media superstars, and I'm only 17. Clearly, I can stay natural, keep training for 10 years, and I'll be stupendous. I started learning the algorithms and working it in my favor. And so he now understands the algorithms. And soon after this, he meets Togi. What does Togi teach us about the algorithm? 50% of people should dislike you and perhaps 50% should like you so that you can flow through the algorithm. You're going to have more hate comments, like comments. People are going to make videos about you. Perhaps do more clickbait, rage bait, whatever it takes, as Rich Priana once coined, in order to be famous. And does the algorithm not favor guys who are jacked, guys who are abusing performance-enhancing drugs? For the first time in my life, I had a sense of direction. I finally felt alive. What do you mean? That didn't happen when you were 13, when you lifted weights for the first time and you had a passion for improving your body? It took 4.5 years later before you felt you were alive? Why weren't you feeling alive every time you went to the gym? It took you till 4.5 years of training before you finally felt alive. Imagine what happens when you then hop on. You see a direction, a purpose. I'm going to take steroids. I'm going to get extra dopamine, extra size, extra views, extra muscle, extra shreds. We then see the physique continue to get bigger, leaner. Added in the cigarette. Why? Young people, they think that they have to look cool, that they have to rebel against authority, they have to do stupid shit in order for other people to like them. We've seen it all. The Togies, the Trend Twins, essentially anyone that goes against the grain and does stupid shit, ruins their bodies, endangers their health, they often go viral. People see that and they think, I also want to do that. And so when he sees John Skywalker mentions his name as the GOAT, it isn't good. I mean, did we not see a recent young man pass away? I mean, did we not just see Gabriel Gandley be taken away from us far too soon from the use of performance-enhancing drugs? Did he not mention Dallas McCarver, who also was taken from us far too soon? Why are we doing this? This does not sound like the guy who I met in person. At 18, does anyone think that this guy looks natural? Honestly, does he look natty? If you say yes, then you're omitting the fact that he has all this size. Now, it doesn't prove that he's a fake natty. It's possible that he built muscle while being natural. We just do not know. We don't have blood work. We don't have drug tests that he's passed. We don't have him entering natural competitions. And so why would we think he's natural aside from him saying natural transformation? But remember, did he not mention learning the algorithm? What do we know about the algorithm? That people like to poke the bear. They like to say natty, vegan, even though they're blasting performance-enhancing drugs. And so sometimes people, they rage bait us. They're on performance-enhancing drugs, but they type, I'm natty. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. And of course, if you want to buy the cookbook, if you want to hire me for coaching, to carry my supplements into your store under gym, or if you want to be sponsored, click the link and hit me up. And until next time, I am out.